Drew Goddard must have a weird thing with wolves. In Cabin in the Woods, he had the chick making out with the stuffed wolf, and there's some wolf stuff in this. Dude's got a thing for wolves. Apparently.
This place used to be hustling and bustling.
This is not a place for a priest, Father. You shouldn't be here.
We might need to work on your sales pitch, son. The El Royale, no place for a priest.
Lindsay here, and this is my review for Bad Times at the El Royale. Overall, I thought this film was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. At first, I'm going to talk about all the stuff that I liked. Then I'm going to talk about a few little things that I didn't really care for. And then I'm going to get a little bit into spoiler territory at the end. I'll warn you before I do. And it's not real heavy spoilers. It's just there's probably going to be a little bit of a debate about something in this film. And some people who have seen it already have said it's one thing, but I think it's another. But we'll get to that. The biggest thing that I liked about this film and the biggest thing that drew me to it was, of course, Jeff Bridges. He's phenomenal. And I mean, you know, when you go see Jeff Bridges in a film, he's kind of gotten to that point where he's transcended any character he could play. So he just plays Jeff Bridges over and over again. But fuck, he plays it so well. And it's always a treat to see him in something like this where he can have fun. And you could tell he was having a lot of fun making this movie. A couple moments in this movie where I was very, very surprised at what happened on the screen.
Shit happens. Get the whiskey.
And a funny little thing is Jeff Bridges' name is Father Flynn, which I don't think was a purposeful reference to Tron, where his character is also named Flynn, but it's a nice little piece of trivia. The rest of the ensemble cast, and this was an ensemble piece, was very strong. You've got John Hamm, you have Cynthia Erivo, who was amazing, and she also sings in this film, and she sang live on set, and you wouldn't believe it hearing it because it's just perfect and beautiful, but no, she sang it live for the film, and it's great. The girl who played the younger sister and also the kid that played Miles were very, very good in those roles. The younger sister character is extremely creepy, and there's like this malevolence and chaos behind her eyes like the entire time. And in talking about the fashion that lent to the overall look of the film, it fit the time period perfectly, which was the extreme late 60s, possibly 1970. From the wardrobe to the vehicles that were driven to the technology with the TVs and the telephones and teletypes, and also the decor of this hotel. And the hotel itself actually becomes another character in the film.
How'd you end up with the El Royale?
The Ritz-Carlton was booked.
But the cinematography is great. It's very textured and layered, and it feels of the time that it's set in. It's shot on anamorphic film, which again lends to that time period. You could see many, many references from other films that he took to inspire the look and feel of this film. The one that jumped out the most to me was Psycho, just because of the hotel and some things with protagonists in general when it relates to Psycho. And also there's a huge theme of voyeurism throughout the entire film. And that's kind of a thing with Drew Goddard as well, is this concept of voyeurism as it relates to cinema as a whole. Because like in Cabin in the Woods, there's all the two-way mirrors and cameras everywhere. In this film you have a lot of two-way mirrors and also a video camera. Well, a film camera, not a video camera.
I only watch who they tell me to watch.
It's kind of an allegory for cinema itself, where we as the audience are being voyeurs into these characters' lives. This is very much a late 60s film. It makes references to a lot of things that are going on at the time. Things with the FBI, the Vietnam War, the Manson murders. All those are heavily referenced, if not used as allegory in the film. While I don't think this film is as inventive as Cabin in the Woods was, it still has a lot of neat ideas and is very enjoyable. There are some extremely long takes throughout the entire film, some of them as long as like 6 minutes. it kind of makes the film almost like you're watching a play, or like you're actually watching these characters go through this, because you're seeing these long expanses of time where this action or conversations are going on. I could see for some people with these numerous long takes that it could get boring for them, just because there's not a lot of camera changes and angle changes and things like that. But for me, I thought it was very engrossing, because it just completely drew you into what was happening and drew you into who these characters were and what they wanted and their different motivations and what they were going through. I'd say my biggest complaint about the film is Chris Hemsworth. And that pains me a little bit to say, because I think he can be a decent actor. But in this one, I think he was miscast. He's supposed to be playing this cult leader. Not exactly a Charles Manson type, but along that ilk. I think his physicality fits the character, but as far as being emotive and enigmatic and someone that would be able to get people to follow them blindly, I didn't buy it. Whereas in Mandy, the cult leader in there, you could see the charisma, you could see why people would follow this guy. You could see how he could have control over other human beings. In this one, nah, it didn't sail. It didn't sail at all for me. I mean, that's just my personal opinion, but I think that'll be the biggest criticism of this film, is that character, or at least his performance of that character. In addition to the music that Cynthia Erivo sings, there's also a lot of popular music from that time period throughout the film. And it's not, I don't think it's shoved in any way. It actually lends to the storytelling. All of it's played on this jukebox that's in the lobby of the hotel. And you get a sprinkling of just about everything from that era, and especially at the end, you get a nice Hush from Deep Purple, which has wolves at the beginning howling. There's the wolf thing again, but the soundtrack is really solid. It reminded me a lot of, you know, how Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese use a soundtrack to further their storytelling along. All right, we're gonna talk a tiny little spoiler for a second. If you don't want to hear this part, skip to this time code and then come back and watch this part when you're done saying it, because it's something I really want to know other people's thoughts on, because I think my opinion is different than what most people's is going to be. This is my theory. There are several small MacGuffins in this film. One of those MacGuffins is a roll of film that was shot behind one of these two-way mirrors. And they heavily imply that what is on the film is two people having sex, and one of them is a really big deal. They also say that he has died, that he got killed. A lot of people are gonna say that it's John F. Kennedy, which I don't think it is, because the timeline doesn't match up. And this is why. Because Miles said he met this guy. Okay, Kennedy was killed in '63, and this takes place, my best guess is like '69, maybe 1970. Miles went and fought in the Vietnam War. In the clip that they showed, they were using M16s, which didn't come into use till like '66, '67, and he went to work for this hotel after he got back from the Vietnam War. That's why he's so fucked up and on heroin. So it could not have been John Kennedy. It had to have been Bobby Kennedy, if it's a Kennedy. My theory is it's Bobby Kennedy. And also because the Manson murders are used very allegorically in this film, and those happened in what, 68, 69? So this movie has got to take place right around that time period. Yeah, I think it's Bobby Kennedy. That's who I'm placing my bet on. But overall, I really like this film. I think most people are going to enjoy this film, so I would definitely recommend going and seeing it. If I had to grade this movie on a scale, I'd probably give it at least a 7 out of 10. Well, that's going to do it for this review. This is Lindsay signing off. I'll check you later.